I'm a Yankee girl in a cowboy world in Nashville, Tennessee. Trying to get by, gonna survive. Every girl has a dream. Welcome to my world. I'm a Yankee girl.
Hey guys, it's Michelle, and today I'm standing outside of Waldens Puddle, a wildlife rehabilitation and education center here in Jolton, Tennessee. I've always known that if I wasn't in the entertainment business, I would definitely be doing something to help animals. Now, this is the only rehabilitation center for wildlife that actually has professionally staffed people, and recently they had a fire. It pretty much devastated them, and they lost quite a few animals. So they definitely need help, so please visit waldenspuddle.org, and there's other ways you can help out. I'm going to be speaking with Lane Brody, the CEO, and I'm sure she's going to tell us how we can help out this amazing organization. So stick around, we'll be right back. I am sitting with the CEO of Waldens Puddle, which is the Wildlife Rehabilitation and Education Center right here. Is this Jolton, Tennessee?
Yes, but it is Davidson County, but it's Jolton. Yeah.
So Jolton, Tennessee, right in Davidson County. And actually, Lane is my neighbor, and the strangest thing happened. Yeah. I was watching TV, the news, and I saw her on the news. And that she was the CEO of Waldens Puddle, and that they recently had a fire. So yes, not only did I want to help out because I love animals, I wanted to help out because she's my neighbor as well. So yeah, Lane, thank you for coming. And
pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that I stopped, whatever it was when I was driving in. I don't know why I saw you with your dog, I guess, and I was just saying, I don't know how it ended up happening, but we spoke and here we are. So,
yeah.
So I'm so pleased.
And I feel like everything, happens for a reason. So
always.
I definitely want to help. Please tell everybody out there exactly what Waldens Puddle is and what you guys do and how you help the wildlife.
Well, Waldens Puddle is the only professionally staffed wildlife rehab and education center in Middle Tennessee. There are individual rehabilitators, which are wonderful, and we support them, and we encourage a lot of other people to become rehabilitators. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's not extremely lucrative, but it's extremely rewarding. But we are it. So that means that if an animal, say for example, a mother doe is killed by a car and her little fawn is next to her laying there alive, without us that fawn would be put down. And if the mother was injured and had to be put down as a result of it, the baby would be put down too. It is illegal to have a injured or an orphan animal or even a healthy animal in Tennessee. You're not supposed to have them or care for them. And rehabilitators have to be properly permitted, which we are under TWRA law, USDA, and United States Wildlife Services. And so we are very compliant to the regulations. We admit about 3,500 injured and orphan animals a year of about 120 different species. Wow. And those are animals that you are finding.
And Lindsay, what are you bringing to Waldens Puddle today?
A baby squirrel.
Can we see the baby squirrel?
Yes.
We don't want him to jump out. Oh my God. Where'd you find him?
He fell out of the nest yesterday.
Oh my God, he really is a baby.
Yeah.
His eyes aren't even open. Well, that's so sweet of you to care so much about the wildlife that you're taking him in the Waldens Puddle.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And you guys strictly run on donations from the community and from the public. You have no assistance from state or federal
That's exactly
government.
Right. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Which means that we really count on you to give us that regular support to make sure that we're here when you do find that little animal or your grandchild or whoever it is that finds it. And it's really one of those things that until you actually are in that the nervousness of the moment of having an animal and what do I do with this animal, knowing that we're here is the greatest thing in a person's heart when they find an animal, because it's like, oh, I have relief. I can take the animal somewhere. I know it's going to get the care that it deserves and needs to have. I'll feel better about that. So we're the feel-good people. You can feel good about giving to us.
And I can attest, because when I first moved to Nashville, I went to my mailbox and I heard, tweet, tweet, tweet. I looked down, there was a baby bird. I took care of it for as long as I could, for about 2 weeks, and I just was beside myself. I'm an animal lover, so I did start researching, and that's the first I heard of Waldens Puddle. So about 12 years ago, I did bring a bird here.
I'm thinking, let's see, Vicki Carter started the organization in 1989, and then it was incorporated in early 90s, that's what I'm thinking. And the Phillips Family Foundation donated this property and the building, and we've been here ever since. And this will always stay in the corporation as probably the pre-release area, even if we're so fortunate to have another facility that would be like critical care elsewhere. But this is the area where we're really building up all the pre-release enclosures all up in the hill and everything, where the animals are really getting used to being wild before they get released back.
So pre-release means they're almost ready to get...
Yes. So sometimes they'll come in the building, they'll get their critical care downstairs, then they're starting to get stronger. If it's a baby bird, then they go out into the pre-release, which is for them to fly and eat and hunt, and we watch them and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Or the baby squirrels, all of a sudden they're starting to wild up and they don't want to be around you anymore. You know, when they're young and you have to feed them by hand, it's different. Then they start to wild up. Same with the baby raccoons. We want them to hiss at us. We want them not to want to be
get used to people.
Absolutely, because we don't want them going in. You know, you can't trust that they would go to a person's house and beg or whatever. You know, human. You don't want them to be too social with humans. You know, you want them to be afraid and do what they're supposed to do. We have started the Fire Recovery Fund. It's the Waldens Puddle Fire Recovery Fund, and it's very, very crucial to us right now. As you have seen, when you see this footage, this is not what we normally look like, and so it's going to look, we're in total disarray. The smoke damage was severe. It wasn't really damage to the physical building. By the grace of God, I had just installed, you'll see these smoke detectors in every room, and they're wireless. I had done that on my watch.
How long have you been the CEO?
4 years I stepped in and turned it around.
Into it?
Well, when I was in Hollywood and even Chicago, I always worked with wild animals. I have two things in my life: recording artist and wild animals. And everywhere that I've worked in my career, I've made sure that I knew where to go with these animals that I found, whether it be domestic or wild. And I've rescued many, many domestic animals where I've actually worked with them and gotten them placed or sent over state lines and vetted them, and hundreds of animals when I came to Nashville. Much worse in the south than up north.
So 4 years ago you took over, and that's amazing that no matter where you went in your career, you always found where the animal rescue places were and helped out.
Yes, you know, we're called in our lives for different purposes and different things, and I have a strong affinity to creation. I'm even vegan, so I'm pretty one of those extremists, But when I was in Hollywood, I worked with Martine Collette at Wildlife Way Station with the big cats and the exotic animals. And that was quite an amazing learning experience. And then when I came here, I found Vicki Carter, who at that time had her, it was very small before it's what it is now. She was a backyard rehabilitator, so to speak. And I found her in Berry Hill. So I would take the animals that I found to her, and I supported them financially. Then I started doing concerts with all my friends, and had lots of friends do concerts for 5 years. Everybody, Vince always does. My husband's Eddie Bears, you know, one of the top session players in town, and he would play with the players, you know, behind all of us, and I just hand a check over to Waldens Puddle. And then they asked me to be on the board, and I was on the board, and that was a very interesting experience. And I realized that there's a lot of people that talk and they don't do anything, and that's not who I am. So I said, you know what? I could be out touring and doing what I do, and I'm still recording and doing all that, but I said I have to do it. So I stepped into another phase of my life, which went hand in hand with a lot of the ethics and the morals and the integrity that I also expressed in my recording career, which is why I'm not a superstar. I had many times, many opportunities to become a superstar in many ways. I could tell you the dates and the people I sat with, but it was one of those things where they say you sell your soul to the devil, and I wasn't going to do it. So I was penalized. So I went to doing a lot of USO tours, working for the animals, doing good works, and saying it's not going to be about me. I'm going to use this gift, which has always been touted with the best, for the good of all. So I stepped in and...
But don't you think that's where the truest happiness comes from, is when you do stuff for other people?
I think so. I think that you haven't lived until you serve. Till you give every day. It's a
Are you Christian?
Of course.
Okay.
I'm an Orthodox Christian. That's the ancient church.
What's Orthodox?
Way back to the beginning, the early Christian church, Orthodoxy.
And in times of disaster and heartbreak, like recently happened at Waldens Puddle, how do you feel that God has stepped in and really helped out? Is it by all the donations? Are you doing okay? What do you need? I want people out there to know what Waldens Puddle needs right now.
Well, it is the funds, because we're trying to build the new laundry room out in the back, which we had plans for anyway, and we also are doing an addition off of this side of the building, so we need funds, additional funds for that. Wish list items and volunteers. We need lots of volunteers in all areas.
And that was my next question. As far as volunteering for the animals, did the volunteers have to be trained? I would assume.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Where can they get the training?
Here.
Right here.
Right here, yeah. So you can go online to www.waldenspuddle.org, fill out an application, send it in, and then we make an appointment with you, and then you kind of get a walkthrough, and we show you around, and then you go through a little training period, and you sort of tell us what's your interest. I'm interested in animals, or I'm interested in working with you on social media or events, or we need people in all areres. So,
okay.
And so I have to tell you something very important, and this is very important to you as viewers. When we're giving our money to a nonprofit, the most important thing to do is research that nonprofit and see what their percentages are in terms of what's going to the actual mission. This organization can now boast that 92% plus of all incoming funds go right to the mission, right to the animals. And that's because I do my job for free. I'm an in-kind CEO. And I structured, by the grace of God, the board to be a working board, so everybody has a job. So Ralph Gervasio, he's maintenance director, and Carolyn Pendarvis is education department director. We do programs all over the Nashville area, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Everybody has a position that they fill. So it is a working board, which allows the organization to put the focus of the money on the animals, on the animal care staff. And then when we get to the point where we're more comfortable, we'll bring in some administration. Oh, there's a team of 5 of us on the executive committee. So I don't make any important decisions regarding money without consulting the other 4. And we vote on everything. So that's 5 business brains. These are very, very intelligent and successful business people.
I'm always leery of donating, because you hear these horror stories where the money gets taken or goes somewhere else.
Like the Donald Deathridges of the world, and those things do go on sometimes.
Yes.
So the majority are good.
It's good to know that you can research it, you can track the dollars and make sure
you know how
it's
you
going.
do that? Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Tell them.
It's the Greek
Go,
in
girl,
me.
tell them.
It's givingmatters.com and GuideStar. You can see all the information on there. We're registered with Giving Matters, and you can see all. They ask us questions, and you can see the financials. Everything is there. We're very transparent, and that's another important thing for a nonprofit.
Hi, Kelly. What are you bringing into Waldens Puddle
We are bringing in a possum that someone in Donaldson found last night, and she wasn't able to bring it over, so I'm being the caretaker.
Oh, how nice of you.
And Diane did an awesome job getting this little critter into a cage and keeping it safe from the storm.
And it's a possum?
Smile pretty. Oh, there she is. Yeah.
Hello.
Look at her. She knows she's on TV.
Oh, good luck to you, little girl.
Yeah.
Whenever I see anything that has to do with animals and it's sad or bad, I get so distraught. I can't even conduct myself. So, as a CEO who loves animals probably even more than I do, how do you deal with something like when you find animal abuse or the fire, for instance? How do you bounce back? I mean, what?
Well, I could just speak from my heart, who I am as a spiritual entity. I personally, it's not to sound too over the top, but I personally don't live here as much as I live for what I see is ahead of us when we leave here. That's how I am. Yeah, that's who I am. And it's not about what is accomplished here. It's about what's accomplished in here. And what happens inside is a strength that, by the grace of God, you receive when you do serve and you choose the greater. And the greater for me is the virtues, the greater, humility, patience, long suffering, all of the things that matter, the compassion and responding to compassion and responding to the need, no matter what it is, human and animal. I work with a lot of Vietnam veterans. That's another thing that God has blessed me with through my work with the USO and the government. Very well known for thanks for what you did, Unsung Heroes, you know, the songs I wrote by the grace of God.
I heard that on your website.
Yeah. So I just continue to live that way and to serve, and then the strength comes. He provides, and that's where the change is supposed to be, within ourselves. But I know that God has every single one in His care. He created, He's the author of every individual life. So who am I? I just serve, and I trust Him, and if He chooses to take one back, whether it's our son or it's an animal, they're with Him. They're all with Him. So I know that I'm being found doing the right thing. I pray I've done the right thing to do Your will and not mine, and trust You in everything.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I don't question any. I don't have that. I just say, and I don't even take responsibility for the end result. I serve, and it's Him. He
He's
takes
in
care of
control.
that. And when I was driving in at 2, 3 in the morning, and I knew animals were dying because we had heard there was smoke, I said my prayer, and I said, you have a purpose and a will to this, and I trust You, and I'll just keep serving no matter what it is. And then I remembered that I had put the smoke detectors in, that He told me to do that. And the whole building, the chief said, didn't go up because of that. And the animals, the majority, were saved because of that. And so I just trust faith. And we're still here, and more people know about us now, thank God. So the mission is getting out there more. So He has a reason. And I don't overanalyze any of it. Good, bad, or whatever. Just royal path, as we call it. Just stay.
Wow, those are some words of wisdom. First of all, she brought tears to my eyes. I almost started crying in the middle.
I could write all those ethics and morals, and I thought, as long as you work hard and you keep your nose clean, so to speak, you're going to be successful and have the American dream. But that's not the case. There's a give and take there, and sometimes that what they want is too great for you to give.
I get
so,
it.
So I succeeded without having to do all that, but did not become that household name, that superstar celebrity. But when you look up Lane Brody, you see me.
But you're becoming a household name in the house of God.
Yeah, the house of
That's
God.
the important house. We'll be right back with Lane Brody. We're going to take a small break, and we'll come back with Lane and Waldens Puddle. Linda, what are you bringing to Waldens Puddle today?
A toad.
A toad?
Yes.
What's wrong with the toad?
My dog attacked it.
Oh no.
So he's probably got a collapsed lung, so he's filling up with air under his skin, and I think they might be able to help him.
Really? Okay, can we see the toad, Linda?
Sure.
We don't have to pick it
Oops.
up. We'll just go down.
Oh. See, he's filling up with air.
Yeah, and your dog got him? Oh.
Yes, my dog tried to eat him.
Oh, and so what do you think they're going to do? Did they say?
Don't know. Generally what they do for a collapsed lung probably is just puncture his skin and let that air out.
Oh, okay.
And then maybe put like a little drain tube in to...
So you might be able to save him.
might be able to, yeah.
Oh, we hope you get saved, little guy. We're back with Lane Brody, the CEO of Waldens Puddle here
In kind CEO, meaning free.
in
No charge.
kind? Is that what that means? Oh. Well, the free CEO. She works for free, everybody out there. So it's a great cause. And I want to know what the goals are for Lane Brody and for Waldens Puddle. So
I want to see more support in the community and more community pride for who we are. And we're little by little becoming very beloved in the community.
what does somebody do if they find a baby squirrel? Like today, somebody brought a baby squirrel
Right.
and we showed that. If somebody finds a baby bird, what? I always heard that if you touch them, then the mother doesn't want anything to do with them. Is that a?
Old wives' tale,
Okay.
and those are the kind of things that we educate about. So before we talk about a specific species and what to do, which is something that we have brochures about, what to do if you find an injured or orphaned animal. Very important, because you don't want to abduct an animal or kidnap them. Nobody wants to do that, but unfortunately, many people don't think of that first. That's the first question you have to ask yourself.
Well, what do you mean
Am
by
I-
kidnap? Like-
Am I kidnapping this animal?
Oh, from the
Am I
mother.
abducting this animal from the parent? Okay, so that requires education.
Okay.
So that's one of the things we really want to improve on, is education in our community, just like we're educating people to spay and neuter, for domestic animals. Our education program is set up to educate our public and our community on what to do if they find an injured or orphaned animal, and different native Tennessee species, wild animals, of which there are many, many in Middle Tennessee. We do programs at community centers, churches, libraries, schools, animals. We do about 80-some programs a year. We really are, one of our goals in the future is to really grow our education program. We'd like many more people to become involved in that, people that might want to get used to, holding one of our ambassadors. Our education ambassadors are the animals that have an issue, say they broke a wing, and it wasn't the kind of break that is devastating, but they can't fly again properly, and they still have use of that wing. In other words, they can pull it up. It's not just hanging down, and they look really beautiful, but they can't do what they normally do. They would not survive in the wild. We take those animals. We don't euthanize the animals that can go into education programs here or all over the country. We send them all over the country, which is a big part of what we do. And those animals are animal ambassadors, and they have to want to do the program. So we have to see, is their personality suited to be around children or whatever? And once we discern that, they go out on these programs. And Carolyn's a wonderful educator, but she needs help. We need to grow that, and that will help bring in more grant funds to us, which is very important. If we can grow that program and receive more funding.
Why can't you guys get state funded or funds from the federal government? Why?
Good question. They're just not there, and there's nothing to indicate that there will be anything there. And we might be able to receive a little something if we work more on the gray water system here, the gray water remediation. We're trying to do things that are environmentally better, more sound, conservation, more sound. We may be receiving something for that, but it's not that significant. What it costs us to operate is about $30,000 a month here. If you look at our budget.
A month?
Yeah, and that's without me being paid and without all the other positions being paid. So you can imagine what really the full cost would be if we were putting all that money into administration. Now this is what matters most, the care of the animals and the people that are giving the animals the care. And now we've got top-notch people, and they're getting paid what they deserve to get paid. And then we start looking out, adding,
Right.
Oh, our programs are free. We cannot charge by law, so we just ask for donations, wish list items, donations. If you've enjoyed them, and that helps us to be able to pay for the gas and get there and feed the animals and keep them in their mews out there in their enclosures that you'll see them in.
So is there, obviously there's a phone number. Do you prefer that they call if they find an animal, email, text, or
now the finding the animal part, but if you find an injured or orphaned animal, you call 299-9938 and you leave a message. We are not at the point where we have people that can actually man those phones and take those calls right away, but we do return the calls quite quickly. When you talk to one of our people at the front, they will discuss with you what's going on with that animal. As you mentioned about a baby bird, there's many old wives' tales. You can touch all baby animals, the mother's not going to be upset at all. You can put them back in the nest if it's been disrupted, say a bunny nest or whatever, put them all back down. If it's a baby bird that fell out of the nest and you can see the nest and you can get up there and put them back in, no problem whatsoever. So we work with you to help you to understand, is that animal in trouble or not? Say in the case of a fawn, and this is a big one. Fawn are often abducted. So somebody will say, there's been a baby fawn in my yard, I've seen it under the bushes, and it's it's just laying there, and
the mother leaves them there, doesn't she?
Yes,
she goes to find food. I found that out. And people do think that she's left them for...
Yes, and the same with baby bunnies. The mother bunnies come, and I'd have to double check with the girls on this one, our staff, but I think it's twice a day. So sometimes if you think a baby bunny nest is abandoned, all you have to do is pick up that little baby bunny and look at that belly, and you can see the milk line. Their skin is so thin, you can see the little milk line right there, and you can just see it and move and go.
And then you know the baby's still nursing.
There. Yeah. Best is to keep them with the mother and the father. They do a far greater job than we do.
Well, Elaine, you have been amazing.
Thank you.
Not only all your work with the animals, but I looked up some of your artist stuff and your music stuff. Yeah, so congratulations on being a big help to the community, but our animals, I mean, without our wildlife, I mean, they're just as important as our normal pets, our everyday pets.
They have a right to be here just like us, and they make a total difference in the ecosystem. Everything. It was created for the balance is there for a reason. And I think that, if I may say something kind of in closing, is that I think it's a reflection of who we are as a people, how we treat the least. I think that my feeling about Waldens Puddle and what it means to us, it's like a saving grace. That's what it means to me, and what I would hope it would mean to our community. It's a beautiful saving grace. It's something in the midst of our busy daily lives that matters. The needs of these animals when they're in trouble, and that we see that we do the right thing and we stop and take that moment and know that there's a place such as Waldens Puddle to bring them, where it's very close to my heart to serve our military and to do USO tours and special memorials or whatever. So I had just done that, and then recently we got a call from someone in Clarksville, a family that had rescued a eagle. One of the members of the Screaming Eagle, of which I am an honorary member, which is a wonderful thing, and feel very privileged to have that. And so they brought the eagle in. She was in pretty bad shape, and to watch her accept our care like she did, she let us hand feed her and work with her. She was very exhausted. She had several issues. She had to go to our veterinarian that gives free services to us to be cared for, and then was brought back to us to convalesce. It took several months, and then she was put into the flight barn. Well, when it came to releasing her, oftentimes we release species back to the wild, and right to where they came from. So they're not just being released back in the wild, but they're being released to the same spot where they came from, such as the case of turtles. They have to go right back on the same property that they came from because they only know about an acre of land their whole lives. And many species of birds have mates. So we took the eagle back, and the family gathered, and we had a bunch of people that came with us because it was very exciting. It was very exciting to have an eagle here on the premises and watch her accept her care, those beautiful eyes and so regal. So when she was released, it was like she had actually called her mate and told him that she was coming. And she was let out of her crate and flew up, and her mate was there waiting. And that's something that is mystical and beyond our comprehension, that bird would know. And we've seen it happen before. We've seen it with owls, where their mate will be right there waiting, where a neighbor will say, "We never saw a mate. We didn't even know." And that day, when they're released, the mate is there. So it's a mystical thing, and it's a wonderful journey to go through this with individual animals and the multitude of animals of Middle Tennessee that we care for yearly. And we thank you so much for your support and for all the support you've given us through this fire. Stay with us, and God bless.
Well, hey guys, thank you for joining us on our story of Waldens Puddle, a wildlife rehabilitation education center that needs your help. Your nonprofit organization. Visit waldenspuddle.org. Maybe you can find some way in your heart to help out, whether it's volunteering or just donating some stuff on their wish list. But thank you again for joining us, and remember, our wildlife is important too.